To rise.
To get the PIT, dial star 811 star 397 hash. Star 811 star 397 hash.
The Ministry of Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action, through its State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action, in conjunction with its partners, would like to invite all Kenyans to the International Women's Day celebrations to be held at the Kenyatta International Convention Center on Thursday, the 2nd of March 2023. The chief guest will be His Excellency the President, Honorable Dr. William Ruto. The global theme of the event is Digit All, Innovations and Technology for Gender Equality. Come adorned in your best African wear and let's celebrate. Happy International Women's Day 2023.
The National Youth Service will hold its pass-out graduation ceremony on 3rd March 2023. His Excellency the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, will be the guest of honor during the pass-out parade to be held at NYS Paramilitary Academy in Gilgil, Nakuru County. Follow the proceedings live on KBC Channel 1 on Friday, 3rd March 2023 from 10 a.m. NYS, huduma kwa taifa.
Good evening, it's 9 p.m. East African time. Welcome to KBC Prime Edition, bringing you the eyes on the news this Monday, the 27th of February, 2023. We begin this live broadcast with our top stories.
The allegations of serious violation of the Constitution and other laws and gross misconduct have been proved to the required standard to qualify our recommendation for the removal from office of Commissioner Irene Masit.
The tribunal appointed to investigate besieged IEBC Commissioner Irene Masit recommends her removal from office. Her fate now lies with the president. Former Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala ditches ANC, picked as interim UDA Secretary General, with Embu Governor Cecil Mbarire as interim chair. And the LGBTQ debate rages on. Mixed reactions over the Supreme Court ruling that allowed registration of gay rights body. Susan Thuku is in charge of our sign language docket. Our socials at KBC Channel 1, my Twitter handle at Mboya24. Straight to our top story. The tribunal appointed to investigate the conduct of the embattled IEBC Commissioner Irene Masit has recommended her removal from office. Justice Agremuchelule-led tribunal in its report said the accusations facing the embattled IEBC Commissioner were proven. Commissioner Masit now has 10 days to appeal the decision or to accept the verdict altogether. Gladys Mungai with that verdict story from the Muchelule-led tribunal.
After months of hearing of whether embattled IEBC Commissioner Irene Masit is guilty Over the events surrounding the 9th of August election, the tribunal handed over its report to the president, recommending her removal from office. The tribunal in its report further says evidence presented proved that Masit had violated the constitution during the 2022 general elections.
Your Excellency, the findings derived from the investigations have satisfied the tribunal that the allegations of serious violation of the constitution and other laws and gross misconduct have been proved to the required standard to qualify our recommendation for the removal from office of Commissioner Irene Masit. I'm now pleased to present the tribunal's report on findings and recommendation to you.
Her fate now in the hands of the president. The president saying the move will serve as a reminder to public officers to always uphold the spirit of the constitution.
Officers who serve in offices like this must realize that as they discharge their mandate, they must do it in accordance with the Constitution, and they must perform. The only guidance being the expectations of the Constitution. Extra constitutional considerations, persuasions, and other issues undermine the spirit, the letter, and the whole constitutional framework of a country. I am hopeful that in future processes and institutions will be built that have sufficient competence and build on the firm foundation of the law and the Constitution, so that they can withstand any influence or threats or all manner of blackmail that sometimes accompanies public office, and be able to discharge their responsibility in a fair and in a just manner.
Masit is among 4 IEBC commissioners suspended from office by President William Ruto following recommendations by the National Assembly's Justice and Legal Affairs Committee to probe their conduct. The others included former Vice Chairperson Juliana Cherera, former Commissioners Justice Nyangaya, and Francis Wanderi. The 3, however, resigned, leaving Masit, who stood her ground that she was innocent of the allegations leveled against her. Following the report, Masit now has 10 days to either accept the verdict or appeal the decision at the High Court. For Prime Mediation, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Well, a quick rundown of Irene Masit's profile. She hails from Elgeyo Marakwet County, has a career spanning 20 years as a lawyer, and her credentials, education credentials, are as follows. She underwent a master's in strategic human resource management at the University of Manchester. Before that, she graduated with a bachelor's degree in social work at the University of Nairobi. She also undertook a bachelor's of law degree at the same University of Nairobi, of course, subsequently going to the School of Law to study for a postgraduate diploma. We remember that she also was a board member at the National Government Constituency Development Fund before joining the IEBC, and until her suspension, she chaired the Legal Compliance and Political Party Liaison Committee and the Leadership and Integrity Committee at the IEBC. Now, let's move on to health matters now, and healthcare workers have threatened to down their tools if their grievances are not addressed by government. Under the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, the health workers cite, among other things, the official recognition, recruitment, and also absorption of medical interns by the Health Ministry and the employment and deployment of more doctors. Let's listen into that report.
The members of the joint health unions assembled at Green Park Terminus to begin their peaceful demonstrations across the city streets to push for their grievances. The healthcare workers will later march to the Ministry of Health headquarters at Afya House to hammer their point home. Here, the healthcare workers lamented what they termed as a neglect of healthcare workers by the parent ministry, claiming that they had requested the posting of interns whose 3-year UHC staff contract had expired and are now urging for them to be absorbed or compensated accordingly.
Why is it that it's very difficult for us in the health sector to be able to get what is right-free hours and the money that we are asking for, so that you can be able to do justice and you can stop discrimination for these workers, is only 3 billion.
First, we have the cohort that was posted for 1 year. They were given personal numbers, entered in the Ministry of Health system. If they are given any interview anywhere, they cannot be able to be given jobs because they are told they are already in the system.
The health workers vowed to down their tools and mobilize countrywide demonstrations if their grievances are not met.
But if that is not going to happen, we are all of us going to down our tools until we can be heard, because we have been trying to get audience from December up to now. We have not gotten any response to our letters.
From here, the health workers marched to Parliament buildings and handed over their petition to Seme Member of Parliament James Nyikal.
I support that what the health workers are looking for is justified, is legal, and actually they should be listened to.
All that the healthcare workers are asking is for the government to intervene and help them sort the issues that they have raised. Opicho Chemtai for Prime Edition.
On to another report that's in the lips of many, the debate on the Supreme Court ruling giving the green light for the registration of a gay rights body. That conversation intensifying. A cross-section of leaders are now poking holes on the ruling, and they're arguing that it will have a negative effect on the moral fabric of society, while some have even questioned its constitutionality. JJ Kioria puts that story in perspective for us.
National Assembly Speaker Masit has joined the fray of leaders expressing concern on the court's rulings. In a tweet, he faulted the judgment by the Supreme Court, saying Kenya is a deeply religious country. Wetangula further called on all public institutions, including the Judiciary, to uphold and defend the moral fabric. The Speaker joins the litany of voices that have faulted the decision, terming it a dangerous precedent. Homa Bay Town MP Peter Kaluma has indicated that he will be sponsoring a bill to prohibit homosexuality and its promotion in what he says will enhance Article 45, subsection 2 of a constitution to protect the family unit. Kiambu woman Rep. Anwa Muratha has also intimated that she will also be tabling a motion in Parliament seeking to criminalize homosexuality. The Evangelical Alliance of Kenya Sunday condemned the decision by the Supreme Court, saying it is against religious, cultural and moral values, and have called on Kenyans to stand up against the judgment.
This ruling is not only repugnant but also despicable, sinful, immoral, and against acceptable Kenyan culture and natural order.
With Attorney General Justin Muturi already having intimated that he will be seeking a constitutional interpretation on the decision, and as Kenya joined the world in commemorating the World Non-Governmental Organization Day, marked on the 27th of February, the National Council for NGOs says it will be seeking to be enjoined in the appeal by the AG, calling for a national conversation on the debate.
We are calling for a national dialogue on the subject because through the dialogue, we can be able to relook at our laws. We relook at our way of doing things. Because if we are not careful, everybody outside there will use our laws to bring even things that we may not want as a society.
John Jacob Curia, Prime Edition.
Following through for you, the Attorney General Justin Muturi's constitutional interpretation, as he seeks also to get it regarding that conversation around the Supreme Court ruling. Now, the government has been urged to make deliberate interventions to alleviate changes facing women in the country, access to education, providing of funds for businesses, as well as remunerating the unpaid care work done by women, some of the necessary interventions. Speaking during the opening ceremony of the 2023 Women Economic Forum, Cabinet Secretary, Gender and Affirmative Action Aisha Jumwa assured the public that the bottom-up economic model prioritizes implementing economic recovery strategies with women at the center stage.
As women struggle to close the gender parity gap,
women, because they earn less, they have fewer savings, they have a loose attachment to the labor market, they are disproportionately represented, in the informal economy. So they are always the worst hit.
In order to accelerate the achievement of gender equality, we need to consistently share our processes, our challenges, our lessons, and advocacy for the best practice.
Stakeholders in the women empowerment space hold that investing in women is a catalyst to economic growth, since they form over 50% of the population.
We are also looking at galvanizing women's voices through social movements and therefore building their ability to advocate for system and structural change.
It's quite more important for young women to also be involved. Kenya's median age is 19 years against a global value of 30 years. So young people need to be involved in the conversation, because this is the time that they're building their futures, and their futures are in tandem with the building the future of the country.
Speaking at the opening ceremony of the 2023 Women Economic Forum, CS Gender and Affirmative Action Aisha Jumwa said the ministry is working towards an economic turnaround and inclusive growth with focus on women.
As we lay down our strategy, we must ask ourselves, what is it that we can do, and who can we do it with?
Jumo urged women to utilize various digital platforms to enhance and acquire the economic freedom.
WEF LPO financing is available to women traders to facilitate the AGBO individual and groups to undertake procurement opportunities within government.
The Women Economic Forum, which was launched in 2021, is geared towards finding tangible solutions for challenges affecting women and girls in Kenya. This year's theme is getting women involved in Kenya's economic recovery. With effects of COVID-19, climate change and slow economies taking a huge toll on women and girls, they have been advised to take advantage of the available funding opportunities to build a rapid, equitable Kenya. Ruth Wamboy reporting for Prime Edition from the county of Nairobi.
Well, that story brings us to our first break right here on KBC Prime Edition. Don't go away, we'll be back with more.
We further urge Kenyans to remain calm even when intimidated or provoked by those who are desperately determined to rig the elections and plunge the country into civil war. We would like to assure Kenyans that we shall not accept rigged elections and that we shall cooperate with all other democratic forces in ensuring that justice and peace are achieved.
Unajua siku hizi wateja wanatulipa na simu sana sana. Na hiyo si shida, hiyo ni poa sana by the way. Lakini sasa shida inatokea, wengine wetu wanachukua hizo namba za wateja, alafu wanaanza kugawana huku nje kama njugu. Bana, inatuharibia kazi.
In this digital era, it's normal to collect information for your client. But if you're collecting information for the client, it's important that you secure it and use it for the intended purpose.
Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na ofisi ya Data Protection Commissioner.
The Ministry of Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action, through its State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action, in conjunction with its partners, would like to invite all Kenyans to the International Women's Day celebrations to be held at the Kenyatta International Convention Center on Thursday, the 2nd of March 2023. The chief guest will be His Excellency the President, Honorable Dr. William Ruto. The global theme of the event is Digit All, Innovations and Technology for Gender Equality. Come adorned in your best African wear and let's celebrate. Happy International Women's Day 2023.
Nimesahau kucheza Loto Moto. Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number 757070. Account number andika neno Loto. Kisha weka star na nambari yako ya simu. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2000.
Aulali.
Lipa kisha subiri draw. Welala. Nitakutimizia ndoto zako. Milioni 2 usiamini. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLB.
Welcome back to KBC Channel 1, our socials at KBC Channel 1 and my Twitter handle at Mboya. Let's move on to other stories. And Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has called for a strong partnership between the public on one hand and the private sector on the other to unlock the business potential that remains untapped. Speaking after meeting the Aga Khan Development Network officials, Mudavadi said that a more robust approach to dialogue remains key for the country to thrive as a regional economic hub in a highly competitive environment. Timothy Kipnusu is with that report.
Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi on Monday had a roundtable meeting with leaders from Aga Khan Development Network to discuss ways of improving the economic status of the country. It is here that he underscored the importance of the public and the private sectors joining hands to better the lives of Kenyans.
We would like that to continue, and I would be happy as an old friend of the Aga Khan fraternity to be able to say that I'll be available and my office will be available where could exchange ideas.
They are a key partner in terms of supporting government, in terms of educating and informing the public, and we are ready to do that.
This even as he lauded the Aga Khan Development Network for partnering with the government to achieve the desired results. He has also called on the members of parliament to pass laws that will not have financial implications to the country.
For instance, there's the law we passed as a country, the arbitration law, where we desired to make Nairobi an arbitration hub, international arbitration hub. Even big democracies like the US, they looked at our performance contracting. We were ahead of them. They moved faster. They put it into legislation. And those of us who had actually started moving earlier as Kenya, we are now behind, yet they drew from our model. So we are in a situation where we start something good as a nation, as a people, and then we walk away from it and somebody else runs away with it.
Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
Into the corridors of justice, Chief Justice Martha Koome says that Judiciary is committed to clearing the backlog of cases in the courts. Speaking after launching the small claims court at Meru Law Courts, Koome called on the county bosses to allocate them land for the construction of small claim courts in the counties, saying that it is critical in addressing backlog at the grassroots level.
Speaking at the launch of the small claims court at Meru Law Court, Meru County, Chief Justice Martha Koome regretted the delays in determining cases across the country, saying it is denying justice to the people.
We are carrying a baggage of many cases that we have not finished. We call it backlog of cases. So we must clear that backlog of cases. It's the first thing to do as we climb up. It's the baggage to lessen.
A majority of our people are in the low income bracket, and the courts deal with the lowest claim values. It has therefore the widest contact with the greatest majority who would seek the relief of justice to redress their grievances in the expeditious manner.
Kome further called religious institutions to play their role in imparting good morals to society as a way of reducing disputes that end up in courts. She said that they will be engaging the public in sensitizations on how to access justice through courts and outside the courts.
So when we resolve, or as we resolve, we also need to ask ourselves, do we have the wherewithal, the infrastructure?
She appealed to county governments to offer land to enable the judiciary, construct courts at the grassroots to bring judicial services closer to the people, sentiment supported by the county governor.
Aware that the small claims court has moved justice closer to mwananchi by addressing high cost of filing and defending suits. I am informed that through the small claims court, one can file a claim and pay as low as below 1,000 as filing fees.
The Small Claims Court, which resolves disputes within 60 days, has over the past 2 years heard and determined over 14,000 cases.
On to politics now. The United Democratic Alliance has made leadership changes in the party. Embu Governor Cecily Mbarire is the new interim party chairperson, and she will replace Johnson Muthama, who resigned to take up a role at the Parliamentary Service Commission, PSC. Former Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala was appointed the interim party secretary general, and he replaces Veronica Maina, who was nominated to the Senate.
During Monday's National Executive Committee meeting held in Nairobi, the party picked former Kakamega Senator and gubernatorial candidate Cleophas Malala to the position of Secretary General, but on acting capacity.
Hawezi fanya kuwa katibu mkuu wa chama kama wewe ni mwanachama wa chama kingine. Mimi ni mwanachama wa United Democratic Alliance Party.
Malala was a member of the ANC party until his appointment to the UDA party top leadership.
Ndugu yangu Aaron hapa alikuwa kwa chama cha Jubilee. Jubilee Alliance. Akatoka kule, sasa hivi yeye ni leader of majority wa chama ya UDA na Kenya Kwanza. Huyu Ichungwa alikuwa kwa chama ya Jubilee na TNA.
Kuna
na huyu alikuwa Wiper. Na wengine hapo walikuwa KANU. Sasa mimi sio wa kwanza.
The former senator now replaces Veronica Maina, who was nominated to the Senate.
I have taken up duties as a nominated senator, and I will be pushing more energy in my new role as a nominated senator.
Embu's Governor Cecily Mbarire is now party's interim chairperson, taking over from Johnson Muthama, who resigned to take up a role at the Parliamentary Service Commission.
We found a party which had a book membership of 53,000 members, a party we have built to a very impressive over 8 million members.
Hassan Omar, who is currently the East African Legislative Assembly MP, has been picked as the party vice chairperson.
That we'll be able to outlive the Ruto administration and the successor administrations, that as we become a party for now and the future. Mine and others is to build a party that is based on an ideology, that is based on an idea, that is based on an economic revolution. Sisi tuambia wale watu wa maandamano, political freedom, political rights have to a large extent been achieved. Give us the time to deliver the economic revolution.
Others appointed include Japheth Nyakundi as the treasurer and Vincent Munyaka as the organizing secretary.
UDA party is preparing for the grassroots elections, which will be conducted at every polling center across the 47 counties, and we have issued a notice to that effect.
All the new officials will serve in an interim capacity until UDA's leadership elections are held. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
Back to the courts now. 4 people suspected of stealing drugs worth 2 million shillings from Murang'a Level 5 hospitals have been arraigned before Murang'a Law Court. In a miscellaneous application filed, the prosecution is seeking to detain the 4 who are Anthony Nganga, Ann Nabwera, Frida Wangeshi, and Linus Murithi for 14 days pending investigations.
The
The arrest of the four was ignited by one Anthony Nganga, who was found with government-labeled drugs in his car in Murang'a town. He was arrested and taken to Murang'a police station, where he was interrogated and named the other three who he said supplied him with the alleged drugs.
They arrested the driver who led to the arrest of other four. So far we have 4 suspects in custody, and we have recovered assorted items of hospital.
The prosecution told Murang'a Senior Resident Magistrate Eric Musambai that he then took the officer to the hospital, where the other 3 suspects, who are casual workers, were tricked into bringing more drugs to him before they were arrested. The other 3 include Nabwera, Frida Wangeshi, and Linus Moraidi. The 4 are now suspects in the alleged theft of drugs worth 2 million shillings from Murang'a Level 5 Hospital. The other 3 suspects are further mentioned. Names of other suspects involved in the drug theft ring, who are also workers at the hospital but are yet to be arrested. The prosecution now seeks 14 days to detain the arrested suspects pending investigations.
No one will be protected. We will leave no stone untouched. We are told this cartel has been operating for the last 3 years. They have been stealing medicine every Monday and every Friday, but they stopped between August and November. Then they started again in the month of January or thereabouts.
We are going to partner with every other stakeholders, including the Poisons Board, the Drugs and Poisons Board at the national level, to ensure that all the people who are benefiting from this illicit trade have been brought to book, their licenses revoked, because our people need the best from us.
Seraphine Roby for Prime Edition.
Legal sector players and the executive have been challenged to build cohesion to minimize legal battles affecting county government operations. In a high-profile meeting aimed at strengthening operations between the 2 levels of government, Chair of the Council of Governors Legal Committee, Mutula Kilonzo, called for collaboration to save counties' revenue in terms of legal battles. The governors are in Mombasa for a week-long meeting with key stakeholders in the legal profession. They pledged to work towards building the county government's legal capacity.
All these small little meetings about how to process and protect counties and bills and matters that are related to us, why not have one-time meeting with every protector so that we can agree on this together, how to proceed. The DCG has told us that we must amend the law. The law will have an amendment to show that the matters concerning counties and fines on counties, you must separate so that it goes into a different kitty. Because we think that we should raise money from our own source of revenue through fines and payments by workers. I'm very pleased to say that the Speaker of the Senate, Amason Kingi, has given us a very good report that for the first time, now they are meeting. Speaker Wetangula is forwarding all bills to the Speaker of the Senate. So now that dispute, and they have agreed to withdraw all those cases because we wanted to know how far we have gone.
Remembered for his diplomatic and political career spanning the 2 post-independence regimes of President Jomo Kenyatta and President Daniel Arap Moi, Burudi Nabwera was no doubt one of the most highly educated politicians among those schooled in prestigious British institutions during the colonial times. This week on the Cabinet, we focus on the profile of Burudi Nabwera.
In prestigious British institutions during colonial times, enlightening him of Western capitalism and Eastern socialism, which came in handy in post-independence Kenya. After Kenya attained independence, President Jomo Kenyatta appointed Nabwera ambassador to the United States.
Under President Moi, Nabwera rose from KANU Secretary General to the position of Minister of State in the office of the President. Moi recognized Nabwera's potential from the glimpses Kenyatta had already seen. During the Kenyatta era, Nabwera had been an influential politician as an assistant minister in foreign affairs. In 1979, Nabwera was defeated in his parliamentary bid for the Rugby North constituency by Joshua Ngati during the first post-Kenyatta general election. When Moi brought in a new team of strong-willed politicians to reorganize KANU, Nabwera was among them as the third Secretary General of the party. Nabwera made every party policy pronouncement and threatened wayward KANU members with disciplinary action or expulsion. Around 1986, Nabwera gained fame overnight, even before he became a minister 2 years later. He sparked fury in KANU when he went on national broadcaster The Voice of Kenya, currently KBC, declaring that the ruling party was going to pardon what became known as Jonjo men who had been expelled from the party. At that time, it was a taboo for any KANU official to contemplate pardoning politicians who had been expelled for their links with Charles Jonjo, who had been expelled from the party and compelled to surrender his life membership certificate. Moi had accused Jonjo of conspiring with a foreign power to topple the government. The president appointed a commission of inquiry headed by Justice Cecil Miller, which eventually absolved Jonjo. Nabwera exuded confidence and the media took the matter seriously, giving the news story a lot of prominence. But among a cabal of KANU stalwarts who loathed the idea of Jonjo returning, all was not well. The party stalwarts accused Nabwera of being a Jonjo sympathizer. He was soon replaced as Secretary General by Moses Mudavadi. Earlier, when he was a minister in the office of the President, Nabwera was even more influential than the KANU Secretary General. In this position, he was close to power, becoming one of the most sought-after ministers in Moi's regime. In the 1988 Mlolongo Q voting general election, he won Lugari constituency parliamentary seat. In 1992, he was defeated by Apili Warire, who vied on a Fodasili ticket. Before leaving parliament, Nabwera was transferred to the Ministry of Information, where he also carried his party whip. Ahead of 1992 multi-party election, Nabwera reformed institutions operating under the Information Dissemination Docket. At the same time, he removed Kenya Broadcasting Corporation Chief James Kangwana via a gazette notice along with his board, replacing them with people he believed to be KANU-friendly. Nabwera is remembered for his diplomatic and political careers spanning the two post-independence regimes of Kenyatta and Moi. Jackie Wambiro, The Cabinet.
Unajua siku hizi wateja wanatulipa na simu sana sana. Na hiyo si shida, hiyo ni poa sana by the way. Lakini sasa shida inatokea, wengine wetu wanachukua hizo namba za wateja, alafu wanaanza kugawana huku nje kama njugu. Bana, inatuharibia kazi.
In this digital era, it's normal to collect information for your client. But if you're collecting information for the client, it's important that you secure it and use it for the intended purpose.
Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na ofisi ya Data Protection Commissioner.
Nini? Nimesahau kucheza Loto Moto. Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. M-Pesa. Paybill number 757070. Account number andika neno loto. Kisha weka star na nambari yako ya simu. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2,000.
Aulali.
Lipa kisha subiri draw. Welala. Nitakutimizia ndoto zako. Milioni 2 usiamini. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLB.
The National Youth Service will hold its pass-out graduation ceremony on 3rd March 2023. His Excellency the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, will be the guest of honor during the pass-out parade to be held at NYS Paramilitary Academy in Gilgil, Nakuru County. Follow the proceedings live on KBC Channel 1 on Friday, 3rd March 2023 from 10 a.m. NYS, huduma kwa taifa.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Welcome back. It's now time for business and our very own Kiptum.
Well, thank you, Tom. Indeed, time to get the latest in the world of business. My name is Betty Kiptum. Now, an audit of water infrastructure projects is being conducted across the country, and funds will be redirected to priority projects after the Ministry of Water and Irrigation was slashed. The budget has been slashed by 46.3 billion shillings. Water, Sanitation and Irrigation Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome says the reduced budgetary allocation will impede rainwater harvesting and conservation, which might affect provision of water for irrigation and domestic use.
January this year, the government announced austerity measures that targeted to save 300 billion shillings in the current financial year. The Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation says the austerity measures are likely to affect drought mitigation programs at a time when the country is still reeling from its effects.
It becomes very unrealistic and a huge task to expect that the ministry will be able to deliver on its mandate and expectations both of Kenyans and of course of Parliament, because Parliament must continuously call us to task, put us to task, and ask what we have done. So
she says the reduced funding has forced the ministry to divert essential funds meant to cater to key water provision infrastructure projects.
Is to deal with water resource management policy and standards, water treatment, wastewater treatment and disposal policy, water quality and pollution control, sanitation management, management of public water schemes, and community water projects, and then water harvesting and storage for domestic and industrial use. Mr. Chairman, as you can see, that is a very huge mandate, which will therefore require a huge budget.
The Cabinet Secretary says even though the ministry requires 117.4 billion shillings in the current financial year, allocation has been reduced to about 71 billion shillings, which might force the ministry to cut back on essential project funding, especially emergency ground resource funding.
Honorable members, you need to help your colleagues to tie this budget with the proposals that are coming to our office. And we shall continue receiving those proposals, Chairman. But again, this is the budget that we have presented. Even this budget is a far cry from the needs of the ministry.
On that one, okay, Madam CS, we hope you will succeed convincing the President to increase you more money, otherwise you'll continue launching for the relief foods.
What happens here?
The parliamentarians proposed that the ministry employs public-private partnerships to fill the deficit and to adopt new strategies in resource allocation for essential projects.
By now you should have come up with some serious proposals on the issue of PPP. Probably you will also update us on that issue, since we are the committee, I suppose, finally, who are supposed to work along with that program.
Hibak Said for Prime Edition.
And Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has called on stakeholders in the agriculture sector to continue with engagements aimed at reducing the cost of production. Speaking during a meeting with the Association of Kenya Feeds Manufacturers, the Deputy President underscored the government's commitment to grow the agriculture sector, which is the backbone of the economy, by dealing with issues affecting farmers.
Among the issues facing the livestock subsector is the cost of animal feed. And today, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua held a meeting with members from the Association of Kenya Feeds Manufacturers at his Harambee Annex office. The discussions centered around lowering the cost of production through lowering the cost of animal feeds.
And the way to grow this country and to get out of the hole we are in is to increase agricultural productivity. It's the only way. And the only way we can increase production is having farmers who are happy. The people who are unhappy cannot be productive.
During the meeting, the Deputy President challenged stakeholders in the agriculture sector to continue with engagements until an actionable and verifiable formula to deal with the issues in the agriculture sector are found.
Live in continuous engagement with stakeholders, because you can't go wrong. The President is of the opinion, and rightly so, that a good idea should give way to a better idea. And a better idea ultimately must give way to the best idea. That you can only get through a stakeholder engagement. Nobody knows everything. So when I meet you, you enrich my thinking.
Rigathi said in order to grow the economy, focus should be on increasing agricultural productivity. Benson Droba reporting for Prime Edition.
And the government is seeking investors in the energy battery storage systems to fast-track Kenya's ambitious goal of moving to 100% electricity generation from renewable sources by the year 2030. Energy Cabinet Secretary Davis Chirchir says the investment would help store the excess electricity generated by renewable energy sources like solar and wind during off-peak hours that is underutilized.
Kenya had an installed capacity of 3,074 megawatts as of June 2022, which includes 331 megawatts generated from wind and 51 megawatts from solar. The government says more could be generated from clean energy sources such as wind and solar if investments in storing that power is increased.
With storage really coming down today in batteries, we will see availability of solar in hybridization of solar and storage with cheap batteries, or the price of batteries coming down, significantly being more available, and amortization therefore being significantly much faster, or more bankable projects.
Chirchir says the utility-scale battery energy storage systems will help address issues within the national grid related to voltage instability, frequency regulation, load shifting, and network reliability.
So we'll see the cost of energy in renewable solar, wind coming down in the coming years because of technology move.
However, there is no current framework in place for the integration of BESS in the country's generation mix. The government is engaging development partners such as the World Bank to draft a policy on battery energy storage systems to spur investment.
In the case of Sub-Saharan Africa, we think that we will need about $91 billion to deliver on the mini-grid segment. And we also believe that this is going to require a combination of public and private sector participation.
The battery energy storage system is required in different locations such as the coast and Western Kenya, which face inadequate transmission capacity, especially during peak hours. Regina Manyar reporting for Prime Edition.
And farmers will start receiving real-time weather information through a Europe Space Agency program that aims at de-risking agriculture. Digital Earth Africa manager Kenneth Mboya says the program will help instill better planned farming.
Kenya is among 5 countries in Africa set to benefit from data sharing program supported by the European Space Agency program that will offer farmers real-time weather information powered by satellite imagery.
The program is aimed at empowering the small-scale farmer to get timely information which he can use or her can use to improve the yields, crop productivity.
Real-time weather data will help smallholder farmers make informed decisions on when and what to grow.
Farmer can be able to get more information on productivity. The farmer working in an ecosystem together with other institutions like KALRO, Kenya Agricultural Research, and also other stakeholders, so as we can have an ecosystem to empower the local farmer on the ground.
The government will utilize the information to map out areas that need targeted interventions.
That also worked in partnership with the KALRO, so that then we can be able to get now the information that is scientifically correct, so that then now we put that in an information hub, what we call just a screen where the farmers will be able to come and access information on pests and diseases.
Under the program, a number of youth will be trained under a training of trainers program, each of who will be assigned to help 15 farmers read satellite images.
So when you look at a 65-year-old farmer and telling them come to the screen, they are still very intimidated. So what we started to do is work with the youth.
Benson Druba reporting for Prime Edition.
And COMESA member states have been urged to implement competition laws to foster innovation to effectively compete. COMESA Competition Commission CEO Dr. Willard Mwemba says healthy competition ensures companies improve their products and services to keep up with the market trends and offer the best to consumers. Here is that report.
The launch of the African Continental Free Trade Area in 2021 provided new opportunities for African countries to grow their economies through trade. To conquer the vast market in Africa, innovation is a necessity. The COMESA Competition Commission says competition laws serve as a lever for enhancing innovation.
Every business that is happening now, technology is a bigger part of it. So, and you can only embrace that technology, you can only become technologically savvy if you are threatened by something. But the day this guy may want to come out of Kenya, there is no way he will go and survive there. There is no way, because his products will be very archaic. His business model will not be for the current consumer or the modern consumer. Consumers will say, no, this is not what I'm used to. This is not how we conduct business.
He says implementation of competition laws at a national level is key to growing companies that can compete globally.
It is very important, even at national level, to make sure that our companies learn to compete. And we're talking about Africa creating what we call giants, right? We call them at national level, we would call them national champions. At Africa level, I'm sure we may call them Africa champions. So these are champions that we want to go and compete out there.
He is challenging companies to embrace competition, which exposes them to standards in their industry, adding that a lack of competition leads to monopoly and can close off the market to entrants.
If you are not competitive, it's the what do you call the rules of natural selection. If you are not competitive, you automatically die. Because those that are competitive will attract all the consumers. And to be competitive, it means you keep on thinking and thinking and thinking.
Betty Kiptum, Prime Edition.
And startups that have unique business ideas have a chance to secure a seed capital of up to $5,000, courtesy of the Tony Elumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Program. The initiative targets to support youth-led businesses to grow their enterprises. Beneficiaries under the program will receive training before funding is extended.
Small and medium enterprises are set to benefit from a seed capital funding program by the State Department for Devolution in partnership with the United Bank of Africa through the Tony Elumelu Foundation. The initiative looks to drive the growth of SME sector and youth innovation in the country.
The whole essence of having this global network is to support trade in and out of Africa, support intra-Africa trade, but most importantly, support African governments, African businesses to trade and relate to the rest of the world.
The Ministry of Devolution says there is need for collaboration between the national and county governments in supporting young entrepreneurs through mentorship and funding programs.
We want to see what is that which is there for us as counties, which is there for us as young people of this country. What is that we can tap to Look at $5,000 given to a young person with an idea. It brings the change. The State Department considers the partnership as an opportunity to empower the general citizenry with skills, knowledge, and appropriate attitudes as a catalyst for sustainable development.
Relating with the counties enables us to ensure that each county at the minimum have representative as beneficiaries of the Tony Elumelu Foundation.
The partnership will focus on providing collections and payment platforms that support increased revenue collections and ease of reconciliations. According to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, at least 450,000 small businesses are often shut down annually in the country. The massive shutdown is translated to 30,000 monthly and 1,000 daily, the biggest in the region. The foundation believes that the private sector holds the key to unlocking Africa's economic potential. Andrew Kero for Prime Edition in Nairobi.
Andrew Okero's report there brings us to an end of the business news this evening, but of course Prime Edition continues after the break. Sports news is coming up. Stay with us.
You want to tell me something? Tell me. I'm listening. What is it?
No, you are not going anywhere.
What's that?
I said you're not going anywhere. You will stay right here with me.
What's with the bag, Fabi? Where are you going?
Fabiola is leaving the house.
Wacha kunificha. Wewe ni mtu najua tangu. Wewe si mtu wa kukaa kwa nyumba 24 hours.
Tulia, relax. Unaenda wapi?
Yuko wapi?
Nani?
Melissa yuko wapi?
Tulia, Melissa atakuja kukuona.
Sijakufa.
Kwa hivyo utajaribu kujiua tena?
Sasa unajua umeona venye wife amekufanya. Unajua vitu hizi saa zingine si take for granted.
Mbona unaonekana nikao umjui? Ni kama simjui lakini najua utanieleza baadaye.
Mimi mwanaume kuna vitu mingi wanafaa kusort. Na chapa yote umetumia lazima ndakurudishia.
Zigi.
Hii story tumemaliza.
A very good evening to you. Welcome to KBC Prime Edition. My name is Karen Kibet. Let's now take a look at what's making headlines in the world of sports. The Kenya Nationals Rugby Sevens team Shujaa will play this weekend. They will play Fiji, Uruguay and Great Britain in the Vancouver leg of this season's World Series. Shujaa has had a difficult season from the opening leg in Hong Kong, managing to collect just a total of 22 points from the already played 6 legs of the season.
Is to talk.
Kenya National Sevens side Shujaa heads to Vancouver in search of a better performance compared to the first 6 legs of the 2022-2023 season. Shujaa only managed a single point in the latest leg in Los Angeles over the weekend, the second time they have collected a single point from a leg this season, with the first time coming in Hong Kong. Shujaa secured 3 points in Cape Town, 5 points each in Dubai and in Sydney, and their best performance was in Hamilton, where they managed to take home 7 points.
Yeah, the wave continues. Here comes the water buffalo. As an Ela playing in the
these conditions. Alvin Otieno lays it down. Fiji get a hand in. Two-way told to leave it. The water buffalo slides in. Don't you love it? Listen to the crowd.
They head to Vancouver hoping to better their performance this season, having been pooled with Fiji, Uruguay and Great Britain. In the last leg in Los Angeles, won by New Zealand, Kenya only managed one win, which came against Australia in the group stage of the tournament. They lost to Fiji and Japan in the other Pool C matches, before going down to Canada in the 9th place playoff quarterfinal, and then suffered another defeat at the hands of hosts United States in the 13th place semi-final.
Kenya with another 10-plus phase attack. Hamwa, 5 out. It is there for Otieno. The water buffalo feeds, and Kenya finally score.
Then France will say, you're right. We will be with you.
Thank you, Barkley, for that report. We do hope for a miracle in the Vancouver leg because things are not really looking good. So we wish the men's team, Shujaa, all the best. Moving on, Commonwealth Boxing cancelled. Super lightweight champion Sarah Acheng is hopeful of capturing the WBF belt when she takes on Miranda Reyes of the USA on the 5th of May in Nairobi.
Without me.
Sarah Acheng will be seeking to add to her trophy haul a World Boxing Foundation title against an American opponent, a fight that the 34-year-old has termed as important to her boxing career.
This fight is very much important to me, especially not only Sarah, but all women who are looking up to boxing. If this opportunity is given to us, it's given to me, and I managed to come out victoriously, this is going to be a success in history for many women.
Acheng boasts of an imposing record of 15 wins and only 2 losses. Her head coach, Anjere Analo, believes the boxer has qualities to bag her 4th world title.
It takes a champion the will more than the skill. So she has a very strong will. And without the will, even if you have the skill, you cannot do it in boxing.
Acheng, who picked up the gloves at a young age after joining Box Girls, a boxing club, believes her exploits and those of others from the club will play a crucial role in helping the club bag the Sport for Good award after landing a nomination at the forthcoming Global Laureates Sports Awards.
That our work is being appreciated, supported with so many people outside Kenya, not even in Kenya, but outside Kenya. So this inspires a lot of people, even box girls at large, to continue doing the excellent work that we are doing in the community.
Important, it is a statement to the whole world that girls can do it given an opportunity, and that's why Box Girl is there, and it's there to create that world where every girl enjoys a platform where they can create opportunities for themselves and for other girls.
Boxing Girls, which was founded 14 years ago in Nairobi's Kariobangi North, uses boxing to empower young girls and will battle 3 others in the category that awards inspirational sports programs across the globe. Bernard Okumu, Primetime Edition.
Thank you, Okumu, for that report. All the best to Acheng. Moving on, Josephat Kiprotich and Valentine Jepkoech won the 2023 edition of the Mount Kenya Mountain Running Championship held at Kesal in Meru. The two won their respective 13-kilometer senior races, with Elisha Kipkor and Anne Nariekop winning the junior titles.
Josephat Kiprotich and Valentine Jepkoech are the 2023 winners of the Mount Kenya Mountain Running Championship after winning their respective senior 13-kilometer races. Kiprotich clocked 44 minutes 7.4 seconds to win the men's race, ahead of Patrick Kipngeno and Michael Saoli, who was second and third respectively. Jepkoech was the fastest senior lady on the ground, winning in 50 minutes 37.4 seconds. She crossed the line ahead of Jeruto Kipsang and Bensi Cheruiyot, who settled for second and third positions respectively. Earlier, Skip Korir won the junior 8-kilometer under 20 men's race in 42 minutes 42.9 seconds, beating Danson Derito and Pius Murimi, who crossed the line in second and third positions in that order.
This national event will be held every year, the month of February, na we are still lobbying na tunaamini Mungu atatupatia favor so that next event ambayo tuna anticipate itakuwa kubwa sana ya 2025, God will give us favor, we shall host ya dunia mzima hapa Meru.
Anne Nairi Kop took gold in the under 20 women's 6-kilometer race, clocking 34 minutes 33.4 seconds, edging Christine Mutua and Susan Wahome, who were the other two podium finishers. Dixon Esekon and Sheila Mbaku won the over 50 years 6-kilometer races.
And those are all the sports stories we had for you tonight. Do not forget that yesterday night, Manchester United carried their first silverware since 2017 to win the Carabao Cup. I wouldn't have finished the bulletin without letting it be known again. I'm now joined by my colleagues, Mboya and Betty Kiptum. Karen.
You had to let us know.
I had to let you know again because it wasn't in my order tonight.
But yeah, there's also the Vancouver leg set for the weekend.